Hello there, spooky pretties, and welcome back to Scary Movie Saturday with me, your host, Maggie. Today we're talking about a newer movie. It's new to me, but it's been out a couple months now, but I finally had a chance to watch it. We will be discussing the new Texas Chainsaw that is currently streaming on Netflix. And today I am drinking, while discussing the movie, a Blue Moon Belgian White. As you probably heard me talk about last week, I have a lot of friends who leave random alcohol in my fridge, and I am still digging through all of it, trying to get rid of some, and this is one of those. So cheers to free beer. I do like Blue Moon though, so some of the other stuff in my fridge, my husband's just gonna have to drink, or you guys need to come party, but Blue Moon is one I actually like, so again, cheers to that. Before we dive into the movie today, let's talk about my shirt. We've got some American Psycho, Christian Bale. I've got to return some videotapes. Who loves American Psycho? I do. And I love Christian Bale in this role. He's absolutely psychotic and perfect. And I love the music in this film. I just find it oddly hysterical, but it's also very, very creepy and very, very well done. This shirt comes from Fright Rags. I have talked about them multiple times before. I really, really enjoy their designs, and when they came out with this collection, I had to snag it. And I really love like the retro 90s background, and I just love everything about it. So again, let's cheers to Fright Rags, y'all. Gets a little messy here sometimes. So the purpose of me drinking while I do these reviews is to kind of make you guys feel relaxed with me. So when you sit down on the weekends and talk horror movies with me, I hope you're having a drink too, even if it's non-alcoholic. Just sit back, relax, and get scary with me. So for the synopsis of the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's about a group of young adults with some very idealistic ideas about turning the town of Harlow into something new and inviting for people. And it's kind of confusing on exactly what they're doing. I mean, it's not really confusing. It's just kind of quickly touched upon and not really talked about a whole lot. So we'll get back to that. And in this town of Harlow that they are entering and revamping, they stumble across Leatherface, who has been missing for a very, very long time. Nobody has been able to find him, and unfortunately, these kids do. So let's talk about, spoiler-free, what I liked about the movie. I'll be honest, there wasn't much. I thought Leatherface and the gentleman who played Leatherface, which was Mark Burnham, I thought he was fantastic. Leatherface is my favorite part about this entire movie. He is brutal, rageful, aggressive, angry, and he kicks some motherfucking ass. And I just loved everything about him. The kills were fantastic and gory and bloody. And if you like that kind of stuff and you don't really care about plots or stories or characters, then you might like this movie. If you watch it just for the kills, then it is right up your alley. Maybe just put it on mute and watch the kill spree happen. But Leatherface is definitely my favorite part. And I enjoyed every time he was on screen. And I would watch this movie again solely to watch that performance and to watch the gore go down. It's kind of one of those movies you can just sit back, relax, not think about too much, and just watch the blood splatter, because I'm telling you, it does. He uses his chainsaw to the best of his capabilities, trust me, and a bunch of other creative kills as well. What I didn't like, you guys know cast is really, really important to me when it comes to movies, not just horror movies, but just movies in general. And there wasn't a single character I liked or found relatable. I didn't like anybody. I did not like the sisters, Melody or Lila. I thought they were both just, especially Melody. I really, really disliked her. I didn't really like the way she treated her sister. I understand she was being protective and her sister had been through some trauma, but I did not like their dynamic. I did not like Melody at all. There is one redeeming scene to Melody towards the end of the movie, but since this is the spoiler-free section, I won't go there just yet. I also thought some of the characters were just kind of mean. Again, since this is spoiler free, I can't say why, but there were times that they were just unnecessarily mean to other characters in the film, and that just really, really turned me off because I'm not a mean person. You have to really press my buttons and be mean to me and cruel to me or my friends or family for me to really go off on you. And these guys just all seemed super sensitive and angry and aggressive, and yeah, I wasn't into that. I just didn't find a single person really interesting. Leatherface was my favorite character. Some other things I didn't like, again, the plot was just kind of briefly touched upon before like the massacre starts happening. They don't really dive a whole lot into it, but it's a horror movie, so I guess it's not necessary. You're there for the bloodshed. They clearly were relying on that in this film. So if you want to know my ranking before I dive into the spoilers, maybe fast forward to the end of this video where I will say it, or check in the description box below. All right, we're headed to the spoiler section. Drink with me, cheers. All right, so the spoilers. So since the plot is so simple, there's really not a lot to dive in here, but there are some specific scenes I would like to touch on. What I was referencing before in regards to a character being mean to another character, I thought when the young man and Melody enter the house that woman is still occupying, I thought they quickly jumped down her throat, especially the guy. I apologize because his character's name is escaping me right now, but he went from like kind of being polite to figuring out what was happening and why she was still in the house to full on angry. And I understand there was some race involved that was kind of setting him off, but this woman was clearly not well, confused, elderly, upset that they were trying to vacate her from her home. And I just thought he quickly turned angry faster than necessary. And it was kind of off-putting. And that just did not sit well with me. I think he should have been a little bit more patient and tried to get down to the bottom of it. And yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that. Again, I also was not a fan of the sisters' dynamic. I just didn't think either of them were likable, especially Melody, as I said. But there is one redeeming scene to Melody. She's at the end of the film when they're battling Leatherface. She picks up Leatherface's chainsaw and really knocks the fuck out of him. And I think that is really badass. She just grabs that chainsaw, screaming at the top of her lungs, and literally, boom! It was fantastic, and I thought that was really, really well done. I really thought that showcased her in a good light. But outside of that specific scene, I did not like her. I did, however, enjoy the scene where Leatherface gets on the bus that they have with all the guests visiting the city. You knew as soon as everybody got on that bus that there was going to be a fucking massacre, and they did not disappoint with that. It was kind of crazy how everybody was acting though. Every single person pulls out their phone to record. And while we may sit here and be like, that's fucking stupid, why are they recording a guy with a chainsaw that's clearly gonna fuck them up? It might be kind of how today's society is. I don't know if every single person on the bus would have done that, but you know there would have been a couple people. But that was also very annoying and off-putting, even if it is kind of realistic to today's standards. But yeah, it was more important for them to capture this moment on their phone than to figure out that this guy was dangerous and had a weapon, and the weapon was full of mass destruction. But that scene did end up being pretty fucking cool. He climbs on that bus and he's just got this whole vibe about him that's like, I'm here and y'all are done for. Anytime he was on screen, he was just great. I also just felt like they really portrayed these kids as kind of privileged, and they all just kind of had attitudes, especially the sister Melody, especially in the beginning when you're first introduced to her. She just seems privileged and uppity, and yeah, I keep going back to her, but she especially drove me insane. I personally prefer the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake that came out in 2003. That is my absolute favorite Texas Chainsaw movie. And in my opinion, nothing can top that. I prefer it over the original. The original is a classic and I do enjoy watching it, but there's something about 2003 Texas Chainsaw that takes the cake. It's horrifying and creepy, and it still gets under my skin. The music in that film also gets under my skin, and I always like hear it lingering in my head after I watch the movie. But with this movie, I didn't have that same level of scare factor to it. Yes, Leatherface is brutal. Yes, he's aggressive and it's gory and bloody, but it was kind of like one of those movies where the scenes are so gory, it's almost laughable. They're not really scary. They're cool to watch. They're cool to see go down, but they don't scare me and they don't leave me feeling creeped out afterwards. So while I love Leatherface in this movie, he wasn't my favorite Leatherface of all time. So my final rating for this film would honestly be 2.5 out of 5 stars. I thought the plot was lacking some information. I thought the characters were awful, as I definitely did not hold back on that. But it makes up for it in kills and gore and Leatherface being perfect, in my opinion. So I would watch this movie again knowing that it's not the best story, just to have fun with it. It would be a good movie to watch during the Halloween season if you have friends over. But yeah, in regards to the story, it's just not hitting home with me. If you guys have seen this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, then please let me know what you think of it below. Rate it and tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you liked about it, what you didn't like. And also, does anybody else find it funny that there are like 5 Texas Chainsaw movies with that title? I mean, there's also the Leatherface movies, the Texas Chainsaw 3D, but it's like, can we come up with some more titles? It's hard when you discuss horror films, like you just start having to put the year at the end of them. Like with Scream 5, it's Scream 2022, Scream 1996, Halloween 2018. Like, I'm tired of doing that. Can we come up with some more original titles? I'm gonna cheers to that. Creative titles, guys, work on it. So thank you for tuning in with me this Saturday to discuss Texas Chainsaw and all its gory goodness, or lack thereof. I'm just kidding. There's plenty of gore. It's just the goodness part is lacking. I can't wait to see what you guys thought of this movie, and I will catch you guys back here on my channel this coming Wednesday for more of my Scream Collection series, and back again next weekend for another Scary Movie Saturday. You guys keep it weird and make it Meggy. Bye!